So Joe, why is it important for you to live independently? I'm sure there's many reasons, but just what comes to mind?
Well, I would think you want me to be very honest. In a nursing home today, people like me are literally tortured to death. Not being able to do anything for myself requires a lot of help. And the nursing home is the worst place in the world to expect that help. They are always way understaffed, and what's there they have remain in constant pressure moves, so that your moves are not good. And you learn before too long that your best bet would be really shut your eyes, go to sleep, and pray for someone come and get you. You know, I have dealt with a progressive muscle disease my whole life. And from the age of 4, it has been steady downhill. In those circumstances, I learned how to cope. But let God be my judge. There is no coping in a nursing home. It's, I would rather be a tourist in Cuba than be Joe Pepe in a nursing home. Now that is the truth.
The first time I met Mr. Pepe, he was pretty much able to function without a ventilator. And it was not bad. But then when he got sick and he had to go into the hospital, it became really hard because he couldn't keep his workers. They weren't paying the workers. So I pretty much volunteered at that time. They were getting some money, but not enough. So I pretty much just stayed in there with Mr. Pepe, knowing that, you know, he needed somebody there. And in that process, you know, over about 1.5 years, he got better. And but before that, they put him in a nursing home. And in that nursing home, it was like, I thought he wouldn't come out. I just stayed around the clock because he would have died. He literally would have died. They had no hot water. They didn't have enough blankets. I mean, and he's a quadriplegic. He was on a ventilator. He couldn't speak for himself. So pretty much whoever, it was me and a few others. We had to really fight for his survival. And after that process, he was able to come home. And through that, you know, he's where he is now. But if it wasn't for his attendance, Mr. Pepe would not be here. And this is the honest to God's truth. He could not talk. I could read his lips. And if it wasn't for the fact I could read his lips, so the doctors could talk to him. It's just, you know, to the grace of God that, you know, he's here. And I thank God that he is, because he's a wonderful person. And I don't know what I would do without him. I need him more than he needs me. But, you know, it's just great to see that this man, and with all of his hardships, has come home and he's functioning and doing whatever he wants to do, any way he wants to do it to his ability.
And would you ever consider working at a nursing home or with an agency yourself?
No. I'd rather do private duty because I think if a person wants to come home out of a nursing home, they deserve that chance. And if you don't have someone there to do, you know, to help them, they can never come home. So I'd rather work with people who have the desire to come out and live their life, as opposed to going to a nursing home and just give them no quality of life.
I only managed to get out of the hospital the last 2 or 3 times because I had my own son with me. That's where the rubber hits the road.
And it really is extremely, to me, it's much harder. It's much harder when he goes into facilities because they're quote, quote, professionals. And they look at us as if what are you doing here? You know, they don't know the story or the connection that we have with each other. So they just look at us like, well, you know, we can do this. But half the time, if we weren't there, it wouldn't get done. You know, I've seen Joe with bed sores, rashes, and things like that. And they'll say, well, you know, you're not supposed to be here. But we fight. We fight because in these situations, the consumer is always the one we work for, nobody else. So it's hard. And I hate it when he goes into the hospital because it's like you have to like fight even harder. You know, he has to fight a little bit harder, and I have to fight a little bit harder because they don't understand the relationship. Yeah. You know, if I suction them, they say, "Well, you're not supposed to suction like that," but I've been suctioning him all 6 years, so all of a sudden I'm in a hospital and I'm not suctioning him right. See, these little obstacles that get in my way makes it like, ooh, I don't know, you know, and it's harder on him.